Namaste children, namaste. Just a moment please. Namaste children, namaste. A hearty welcome to this fourth and the last session on Introduction to Euclid's Geometry, Mathematics, 9th Standard and Geometry section, chapter number 2. In the previous 3 sessions, we have discussed about 7 definitions, 7 axioms and the first 4 geometrical postulates. In this session, we will discuss the parallel line postulate and the 5 rules. For this, we need to recall our previous knowledge. Let us perform an activity. Children, can we consider cycle spokes with 2 arrow welded with a black and white color as a straight line, children? Yes. So, assume that this is a straight line which is kept on a drawing board, and assume that this drawing board is also a plane surface. A ray is standing like this. So, when the ray stands on like this, we have 2 angles formed here, and we know that these 2 angles are called adjacent angles because it satisfies 3 conditions. Condition number 1, it has a common vertex, and this ray is common to both the angles, and when this common ray is extended in both the directions like this, when you imagine that this is extended in both the direction, then this line has infinite length. So, the entire plane is divided into 2 parts. So, this is one half plane, this is another half plane, and these 2 remaining line segments, then these 2 remaining segments are on either side of the half plane. Therefore, we call it them as adjacent angles. Since the sum of these 2 angles is equal to the entire straight angle, which is 180 degrees, we call these angles as adjacent angles of a linear pair. Now, let us consider vertically opposite angle, children. For this, look at this figure. Okay, here are 2 straight lines intersecting at a point. This is called point of intersection, which means that this point is common to both the straight lines. We have 4 angles formed here, and the sum of these 4 angles is 360 degrees. These 2 angles and these 2 angles are called as, and vertically opposite angles are always equal. Here are 2 straight lines which are parallel. So, let us try to define what are parallel lines now. Definition of a parallel lines. So, this is found as a definition number 23 in Elements volume number 1 as the last definition, and it states that parallel straight lines are straight lines which being in the same plane and being produced indefinitely in both the directions do not meet one another in either direction. Let us try to get little more information regarding the lines on the same plane. Lines which are on the same plane are called as coplanar lines. Lines which are on different planes are called as non-coplanar lines. Children, please observe the spelling for plane and coplanar, P-L-A-N-E, and for coplanar, C-O-P-L-A-N-A-R, not N-E-R. Please be careful. Okay. So, lines can be classified into parallel lines and non-parallel lines. Parallel lines are nothing but coplanar lines only. Non-parallel lines can be coplanar lines or non-coplanar lines. Coplanar lines can be parallel to each other. If it is not parallel, they are called as non-parallel lines or intersecting lines. Non-coplanar lines are always non-parallel and non-intersecting lines. These are called as skew lines or lines in space. Having understood the parallel lines, let us consider one line, a straight line like this, intersecting at 2 distinct points. Apart from the adjacent angles and vertically opposite angles, in this figure you need to observe 3 more angles, that is these 2 angles. these two angles are called as corresponding angles. There are 4 pairs of corresponding angles are there. So, if 2 straight lines are parallel and cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are equal. Conversely, if corresponding angles are equal like this, then the 2 straight lines will be parallel to each other. Can you see one more pair of angles now, children? This and this angle, this and this angle are called alternate angles, and if 2 lines are parallel, alternate angles are equal. Alternate angles are nothing but the Z angles. So, if you can see the letter Z, so these are the lines 2 parallel, and if you consider this as a transversal, so these are alternate angles. So, alternate angles are also called as Z angles. Conversely, if alternate angles are equal, then the 2 lines are parallel. Now, children, finally, we will look at another important pair of angles. Look at the figure now. These angles are called as interior angles. These two and these two are called exterior angles. Now, concentrate all your attention on these two. These two are called as the interior angles on the same side of the transversal. Again, this and this are called as interior angles towards the right side of the transversal. Do you know anything about these two interior angles which are on the same side of the transversal? What is the sum of these two, children? The sum of these two can be understood like this. So, look at these two angles. The sum of these two is equal to 180 degrees because they are adjacent angles of a linear pair, but this angle is already equal to this because they are corresponding angles. Let us suppose that this is 120, therefore, this is 120 degrees. If this is 120, this is 60 degrees. So, 60 and 120 make 180 degrees. So, the sum of these two angles, that is the sum of interior angles on the same side of the transversal, is equal to 180 degrees. So, if 2 lines are parallel and cut by a transversal, then the sum of interior angles on the same side of the transversal is equal to 180 degrees. Now, observe 2 special cases, children. Okay. These are coplanar lines, but they are non-parallel. Non-parallel means they have to intersect at some point. Let us say that when these 2 lines are produced in the left side towards my left, they are going to intersect at some point. What about these 2? These 2 will intersect to my right side of the transversal when they are extended. Children, is it possible to generalize on which side they are going to intersect, children? Can you answer this question? In fact, this is the main subject of Euclid's 5th postulate, okay, which is called parallel line postulate. So, now parallel line postulate investigates on which side they are going to intersect, whether to the left, to the right, or top or bottom. For this, we have to consider a line which is falling on it like this. So, here also we will consider one line like this falling on it. In fact, this is called as a transversal. Now, observe this figure now. Now, observe here, children. These 2 lines are parallel. The sum of interior angles on the same side of the transversal is 180 degrees. But here, these 2 are non-parallel. They are going to intersect at a point. So, the sum of these 2 angles, this has to be lesser than 180 or it has to be greater than 180. It cannot be equal to 180 degrees. So, do you have any idea, children? What about the sum of these 2 angles? Is it greater than 180 or lesser than 180, children? Yes, this can be easily answered if you can make these 2 lines intersect at a point. Now, beautiful, we got a triangle here. The sum of 3 angles of a triangle is 180. To the sum of these 2, if you add this angle, then only the sum will be equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, sum of these 2 angles has to be lesser than 180 degrees only. You can say that the 2 straight lines will intersect on that side of the transversal where the sum of the 2 interior angles on the same side of the transversal is less than 180 degrees. The sum of these two is less than 180 degree, therefore it is intersecting on the right side of the transversal. So this is postulate number 5. So this is our fifth postulate. So Euclid's fifth postulate is a very significant in the history of the development of mathematics. It is worth to know the meaning of the word significant. Significant means having an important effect or having an important influence. The effect means a change which is a result of an action. ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಒಂದು ಫಲಿತಾಂಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗೆ ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಟು ಕಾಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಒನ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಎ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್, change, belief or opinion. This fifth postulate is so significant, it has so many effect and influence in the development of mathematics. Having understood Euclid's parallel line postulate, it is worth to understand the significance, that is the effect and influence of it on the development of mathematics. Okay, Euclid did not require his fifth postulate to prove his first 28 propositions in volume number 1. Many mathematicians, including him, were convinced that the fifth postulate is not independent, not obvious, and doubted that it is actually a theorem that can be proved using the first 4 postulates and 7 axioms only. Nearly 2000 years from 300 BC to 18th century, many mathematicians all over the world tried to prove parallel line postulate, the fifth postulate, but in vain. Now it is accepted as a postulate and not as a theorem. During the process of finding the proof, they could formulate many equivalent versions of it, equivalent versions of the Euclid's fifth postulate. Version means a copy of something that has been changed slightly so that it is different from the thing being copied. ಭಾಷಾಂತರ, ಅನುವಾದ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಈಕ್ವಲೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಆಸ್, ದಿ ರಿಸೆಂಬ್ಲಿಂಗ್, ಆಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಆಸ್, ಸಮಾನವಾದ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೆವೆರಲ್ ಈಕ್ವಲೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಸ್. ಟು ನೇಮ್ ಎ ಫ್ಯೂ: Playfair's postulate, the triangle postulate, Proclus postulate, equidistance postulate, etc. Okay. Now let us try to understand the Playfair postulate, which was formulated in the year 1785. This is given as 2.3 in our textbook. Playfair postulate. So Playfair was actually a Scottish scientist and mathematician, professor of natural philosophy at University of Edinburgh, and this is the image of the university, founded in the year 1583. Natural philosophy means the study of nature, the study of nature and the physical universe, especially before the advent of modern science. Okay. Now Playfair postulate, let us try to understand now. Given a line on a plane and a point outside the line, but in the same plane there is a unique line passing through the given point and parallel to the given line. Unique line means there is only one line. Let us try to understand this with the help of a figure. Okay, here is a straight line AB, here is a point B which is also lying on the same plane. Now through this point P, can you imagine infinite number of straight lines passing through it like this? Hardly we are showing you 3 lines, and out of all these straight lines that can be drawn through P, CD is the only straight line parallel to AB through the point P on the plane where straight line AB and the point P are lying. This is the Playfair postulate. I think it is very easy to understand. I hope you have understood this now. Let us try to compare postulate 5 and Playfair postulate once. Please go through this, children. Better to have a comparison like this. Apart from formulating equivalent versions for the parallel line postulate, they could evolve a new branch of geometry called as non-Euclidean geometry way back in 19th century. There are two important branches are there, hyperbolic geometry and the other one is elliptic geometry or spherical geometry. The geometry that we are studying is called as Euclidean geometry or plane geometry, which was formulated around 600 BC. The creation of the non-Euclidean geometry is considered as a landmark in the history of thought. In the history of thought, this branch of mathematics is a landmark because till then everyone had considered that Euclid was the only geometry and the world itself was Euclidean. Landmark means an event or discovery making an important stage or a turning point in something. children, ಆ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಪುಟಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ನಾನ್ ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಡಿಯನ್ ಜಾಮಿಟ್ರಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಉಳಿಯತ್ತಂತೆ. ಕಾರಣ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಡಿಯನ್ ಜಾಮಿಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಭಾವಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು. Now, geometry of the universe we live in has been shown to be non-Euclidean. For further details, I strongly recommend to read the textbook given in our textbook carefully and repeatedly. Mathematicians traditionally associated with the discovery of non-Euclidean geometry are number one, Gauss from Germany, then Lobachevsky from Russia, and then Boyle from Hungary, and finally B. Riemann. These are some of the great mathematicians who contributed to the development of non-Euclidean geometries. A detailed study and the thorough understanding of non-Euclidean geometry must have helped Einstein to conceive the idea of space-time curvature. Children, now shall we try to understand the rules of plane geometry or the Euclidean geometry, niyamagalu. While measuring the lengths of line segments and angles, we observe the following 5 rules. These were not stated separately by Euclid, but tacitly assumed by him in the derivation of the new proposition. Propositions are nothing but theorems. So, tacitly, this is the how it should be pronounced, tacitly, meaning indirectly. So, Euclid has indirectly assumed the rules and regulations what we follow in measuring the lengths and the angles, and these we take them as additional postulates because we wanted to have as minimum number of postulates as possible for a subject or for a topic. So, rules are nothing but additional postulates. The source is this is the source. This is our 8th standard textbook, 2012 edition. The chairman was Dr. B. J. Venkatachala, professor of Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. Now, what is a rule, children? Can you define what is a rule? In fact, we use the word rule frequently in our daily life, like traffic rules, rules and regulations of our school. In fact, rule is nothing but an established standard, guide, regulation or a principle. Regulation is nothing but an official rule. Principle is a general scientific theorem. It is worth to know the meaning of the word established. Established means accepted or respected because of having existed for a long period of time. ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ಹೀಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ, accepted with proof ಅಂತಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಎ ರೂಲ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಅ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. There are 5 rules are there in geometry and this is the plan. Rule 1 and 2 is about the measurements of length. Rule 3, 4, 5 are about the measurements of angles only. Children, what is the distance from Bangalore to Mysore, children? Yes, it is actually 143 kilometer. And if he asks you what is the distance from Mysore to Bangalore, what you will say? So, what is your answer? It is actually 143 kilometer only. In fact, distance is a scalar quantity, means having only magnitude and no direction. If we take direction also into account, then we say distance from Mysore to Bangalore has to be minus 143 kilometer. Distance is a scalar quantity, hence we put forward a rule like this: every line segment has a positive length. The length of the line segment AB is denoted as AB or modulus of AB. So, the two vertical parallel lines should be read as modulus, and the meaning is modulus of AB means taking the absolute value without any sign attached to it. A line segment has a length only by definition number 2. So, a line segment has a finite length also we know, and this length is always expressed as a positive quantity and not as a negative quantity. Rule number 1 is every line segment has a positive length. Let me keep it on the Euclidean wall. This is in fact a rule number 1. Let us go to rule number 2, children. Okay, if a point C lies on a line segment AB, then the length of AB is equal to the sum of the lengths of AC and CB, that is AB is equal to AC plus CB. I think a figure will help us to understand this rule. Okay, here is a line segment AB and here is some point C, arbitrary point anywhere on AB. If we ask what is the length of AB, can we say it is equal to AC, the length of AC segment plus the CB will give us the length of AB. If a point C lies on a segment AB, then the length of AB is equal to the sum of the lengths of AC and CB, that is AB is equal to AC plus CB only. Okay, this is in fact rule number 2. Now, let us consider one more figure where we will be applying rule number 2 very frequently in our geometry classes. Here is a triangle ABC and the D is any point on AB. So, can we write AB as equal to AD plus DB, children? This is because of rule number 2. And we will take one more point E like this on AC such that AE is equal to EC. In other words, E is the midpoint of AC. So, we can write AE plus EC is nothing but AC because of rule number 2. For AC we can substitute it as AE. So, this is by data as it is a midpoint. So, 2AE is equal to AC. So, better to remember these rules and quote in the proof along with the rule numbers as we quote the axioms and postulates with their numbers. So, rule number 2 is this. Okay, this is our rule. So, let me keep it on the Euclidean wall, children. Okay. Rule 3, 4, 5 are about the measurements of angle. So, it is better to define what is an angle. So, this is given as definition number 8 out of 23 definitions in the book Elements volume number 1. He says, he defines angle like this: angle is nothing but the amount of inclination of one straight line segment from another line segment. Inclination means it is the act of bending. ಬಾಗುವಿಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಲೈನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲೈನಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾಗಿದೆ, ಬಗ್ಗಿದೆ, ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಆಂಗಲ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದ ರೂಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ 3 now. Rule number 3 states that every angle has a certain magnitude. Magnitude andre gottalva, magnitude means size or quantity. So whatever angle you take, it will have some magnitude. And the second sentence is, as an example, a straight angle measures 180 degrees. Here are some example. This is an acute angle whose magnitude is 30. Here is a right angle whose magnitude is 90. Here is an obtuse angle whose magnitude is 120 degrees. So every angle has a certain magnitude. Certain means sure, not having any doubt. Definitely you take any angle, it will have some amount of magnitude. Now let us try to understand the second line of the rule number 3, which states that a straight angle measures 180 degrees. Here is a straight line AB on which O is any point on it. So, if you measure this angle AOB, it is equal to 180 degrees only. This is called the straight angle. So, this is rule number 3. Let us go to rule number 4, children. With the help of this example, let us try to understand this. Here is a ray OC standing upon AB. So, can we say that the measurement of angle AOB is equal to angle AOC plus angle COB, children? Definitely, if you add these two angles, the sum of these two is equal to the total angle AOB. Or one more example, here is a right angle triangle in which angle ABC is 90 degrees, AC is the hypotenuse and BD is drawn perpendicular to AC. Now, what about angle ABC, children? Can we split it as the sum of angle ABD, that is this angle plus angle DBC. This is what the rule number 4 is trying to tell us. So, can we state rule number 4 like this? If ray OA, ray OB and ray OC are such that ray OC lies between ray OA and OB, observe the figure, then angle AOB is equal to the sum of angle AOC, angle COB. Let us try to compare rule number 4 with rule number 2. Better you compare rule number 2 and rule number 4. Rule number 2 is about the addition of two line segments. Rule number 4 is the addition of the two angles. So, this is our rule number 4. Let us go to the last rule, children, rule number 5, which states that if the angle between the two rays is 0 degrees, then what can you say? Don't you think they will coincide each other? Yes, let us try to understand this with the help of this beautiful animation. Okay, here it is. So, here is a ray OA and here is a ray OB, which is making an angle of say around 45 degrees. If the angle between the two rays is made 0, see, now the angle BOA is 0 degrees because the ray OB is coinciding on the ray OA. Therefore, if the angle between the two rays is 0, then definitely they will coincide with each other. Rule number 5 has got converse also. Converse means the data of a statement is made to prove, and to prove of the statement is made data, then each statement is called the converse of the other. Can you state the converse of this rule number 5, children? If the two rays coincide, the angle between them is either 0 or an integral multiple of 360 degree. What do you mean by integral, children? Integral means related to integers. The set of integers is denoted by the letter Z. The set of integers is nothing but etc. minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. Integral multiples of 360 degree means, so 360 1s are 360, 2s are 720, 3s are 1080, etc., etc. So, these are all called the integral multiples of 360. At the same time, observe, not an integral multiple of 360 means 365 2.5s is 900 degrees, 3.8s 1368, and it is another example 4.72s is 1690.2. These are all an example for non-integral multiples, because 2.5, 3.2, etc. are decimals, they are not integers. We can understand the rule number 5. Here is a ray OB which is already coinciding on that ray OA. What is the angle between them? The angle between them is 0 degrees. Do you think that it is always 0 degrees? Now look at this animation carefully. Now the ray OB with O as center, it is rotating. It has made one complete rotation. Therefore, it has created an angle of 360 degrees. So if the angle between the two rays is 360 degrees also, then we say the two rays coincide. If one more rotation if it makes, then it is making an angle of 2 times 360, which is nothing but 720 degrees. So if two rays coincide, the angle between them is either 0 not just 0 always, it may be an integral multiple of 360 degrees. So, maybe 0 degrees or 360 degrees or 720 or 1080. So, if the angle between them or any one of these, then also we say that the two rays coincide with each other. This is the converse of rule number 5. So, in this session we have understood rules of geometry. So, in the fourth and the last session on introduction to Euclid geometry, we have discussed the parallel line postulate, Playfair postulate, and how non-Euclidean geometry evolved, and the 5 rules regarding measurements of lengths and angles. So, can you take down the homework, children? So, defining the meaning of the terms which are frequently used precisely, that is about 7 definitions with the 7 axioms, that is universal obvious truth, 7 geometrical postulates and the 5 rules. We shall now prove the properties one by one. Hope you will enjoy and cherish all the mathematical concepts that are going to come in your future. So, we all hope that the chapter Introduction to Euclid Geometry has given you a good and a sure foundation which clearly helps you to understand all the future concepts in science, in particular geometry. Thanks for watching. With all our best wishes, children, I am T.K. Prasannamurthy, retired headmaster, Vijay High School, Jayanagar, Bangalore. Namaste. Take care. Bye bye, children. Namaste.